In this 2-minute tip, I'm going to talk about a topic that's a burning topic, to say the least, and that is wholesaling legal? I don't know what happened. I was on the internet the other day and I punched some button that was on the side of something else, and up pops a forum on wholesaling is illegal. And I started looking at it, and it was like a firestorm of comments about people in various states, but they were talking about a specific state, Florida. No secrets here. And the question was, is wholesaling illegal in Florida? There's a statute that, specifically regulates who gets paid. If they get paid, do they fall under the commission structure? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And the guys who are real estate agents were, right there is this segment that says, if you do this, you cannot receive a commission unless you're licensed. So the question was, it looks like it's illegal to me. Along came other people that were saying, well, here's the bypass, here's this. Virtually, I don't know how many I looked at. I looked at probably 50 of these commentaries. All of them were wrong. I mean, just very simple. So is it illegal to wholesale in Florida? It depends on how you do it. The answer is yes and no. So here's what happens. One of the RIAs around the state called me up and said, Dave, you're our go-to guy in this stuff. I said, yeah, I'm not going to answer a legal question. They said, no, we know you never do, and this is not a legal answer. We have two of the people that come to the meeting, attendees, who were pounced upon by the Department of Business and Professional Regulation for the very reason that they were illegal wholesalers. And I asked the questions. Did they have a signed contract? Yes. What's the problem? Well, it turns out a realtor, in fact, made a submission. There's two submissions. One was anonymous, and the other one was online and available to the public. Now, warning, because it says anonymous does not mean it's anonymous, because it was very simple to find out who the person was. And I bring that up because here's how I got involved. 73-year-old woman is one of those people. I said, send me the contract. I want to see what's going on. Not acting as an attorney, because what I did is reviewed it and gave it to my attorney. And she did it right. The contract wasn't what I would call up to snuff. It was one of those homemade ones by a guru, but nonetheless, it had all the ingredients of what it needed to have. That ingredient was signature by the seller. What that did is it immediately, I'll say it again, immediately gave the buyer an equitable interest in the property. At that time, that buyer can advertise the property or sell it in any way, shape, or form that they want to. Now, I'm going to have people screaming and hollering at me, but remember the statute I mentioned to you? This is not the first time it came up. And the person that it came up with before was shrewd enough to take it to court, appealed it to the Supreme Court of the state of Florida, and they came back with a ruling that said, hey, you guys reprimanded the department and said, hey, you know better. They had equitable interest in the property. Now, I'm going to probably pass my 2-minute mark, but here's what I'm going to tell you. The attorney for that department, we decided we're going to go after the attorney, have her sanctioned, or try and get her licensed, because what she tried to do is intimidate people, investors, into believing they were doing something wrong without giving them the benefit of the doubt or checking to see that they had a signed contract even. Well, damn. She quit and walked out, and somebody else is now on the case. We expect it to be come back much more in our favor than we ever thought before. But the next step is, remember the two realtors that I mentioned to you that turned in those unfortunate investors? We're going to sue them because what they said about the investigation, the reason for the investigation, was not true. Based on a Florida statute, we can sue them. So it comes a time when you have to draw a line in the sand, and I think this is it. So now let's talk about, I said to it, is it illegal to wholesale in Florida? Yes and no. Well, if you're a wholesaler and you have a signed contract by a seller, go and wholesale it. The problem comes up when you put it into a website like Postlets. In Postlet, it goes on to Zillow or Trulia or something, and it looks like, hey, by the way, this looks like a realtor has it. And about that time, the realtor has a listing agreement, is going to find out that you're offering the property that he has listed for $170,000 for $150,000. and he goes berserk. And he goes to his broker, and the broker says that's illegal in Florida, and all sorts of stuff starts swirling around. But let's go one step further. That's not the problem. The problem is that the guy that's another wholesaler sees your property, puts it out on his list. Now, he doesn't have an equitable interest. And if he puts it out on his list and he's not a licensed realtor, he has a problem. And he's violated the law. So yes, that's not legal. So what does he do? He gets a joint venture agreement with you. If you sign it after the fact, you're in collusion with him on his breaking the law. So if you're going to re-wholesale other people's deals, you have to know ahead of time that if you don't have a signed joint venture agreement, you don't have an equitable interest, then don't do it. I'm sorry I took so long on this one, but it's very, very important. Now, forward to other states. Certain states like Ohio is very, very interesting on prosecuting people. And instead of wholesaling the property, they wholesale the contract. Somebody needs to stand up and say, hey, equitable interest, let's review this situation and get it under control. Because I saw the Attorney General for the state of Ohio talking about the fact that you can't advertise the property, but you can advertise that you have a contract in the property. Cutting fine hairs, okay? Now I will say to you something that's important. I'll bring it up in another 2 minutes is a long since shot, but I'll bring this up later. As I was watching the video by the Attorney General of the state of Ohio, she did say something that I've professed forever, and that is on assignability. I'll do this one in the next one, but I'm going to do it right now. She said, if your purchase and sale agreement does not say the property is not assignable, in other words, you didn't check a box, or in an addendum you said this property is not assignable, it is assignable. And if you don't like that answer, you're a realtor, broker, been in the business a long time, call up the Attorney General for the state of Ohio and argue with her, because we've done it for many, many years. Never had any backlash. Oh, there's occasionally an attorney who'll come along and say, well, if it doesn't say that it's not assignable, then it's not assignable either. No, not so. Any contract, again, this is not legal advice. Any contract that doesn't say it's not assignable is assignable. So, boom. Okay, there's a 10-minute, 2-minute tip. Sorry about that.